He thought he'd won the game of life, trading love for lust in a single, shameful night. She was his wife's best friend, all charm and whispers, promising a future brighter than the one he had. But when the dust settled, karma was already writing the ending he never saw coming. In the sleepy coastal town of Havenport, where the ocean's roar drowned out whispered secrets, Tom Grayson made his choice, married to Clara, a kind-hearted nurse who wore her exhaustion like a badge of honor. He'd grown restless. Clara's long shifts at the hospital left him alone with their two kids, Lily and Max, in a house that felt more like a cage than a home. Enter Vanessa, Clara's childhood friend, with her designer dresses and a smile that promised escape. She was everything Clara wasn't: polished, carefree, and dangerously attentive. One late-night drink at a bar turned into a betrayal that shattered a family. Tom didn't just cheat, he left. He packed a bag, kissed Vanessa in full view of the neighbors, and walked out on Clara, leaving her to pick up the pieces of a life he deemed too small. The divorce was quick, brutal, and public. Havenport buzzed with gossip as Tom and Vanessa flaunted their new life, moving into a sleek beachfront condo paid for with Vanessa's trust fund. Clara, meanwhile, scraped by, working double shifts to keep the kids fed. Lily, 12, stopped talking to her father, her eyes burning with a quiet rage. Max, only 8, still asked when Daddy was coming home, his voice breaking Clara's heart anew each time. She never let them see her cry, though, at night, she'd sit on the porch, staring at the stars, whispering to herself, "We'll be okay." And somehow, they were. Clara's strength became the glue that held them together. She baked cookies with Max, helped Lily with her science projects, and never missed a school event, even when her body ached from exhaustion. The town rallied around her, offering meals and babysitting. But Clara's pride kept her from leaning too hard on their kindness. She believed in hard work, in love, in second chances, even if she wasn't sure she'd ever get one herself. Years passed. Tom and Vanessa's marriage sparkled on the surface, but cracks formed beneath. Vanessa's charm faded as her demands grew: expensive trips, endless renovations, a life Tom couldn't sustain on his mechanic's salary. He missed his kids, but Lily's cold replies and Max's growing distance stung too much to face. Vanessa mocked his guilt, calling him weak, and soon their condo felt as suffocating as his old life had. Tom began to see her for what she was: a woman who thrived on control, not love. Meanwhile, Clara's life took a turn no one expected. One rainy Tuesday, she stopped at a gas station and, on a whim, bought a lottery ticket. She'd never played before, couldn't afford to waste $1, but something about that day felt different. When the numbers were announced on the local news, Clara's heart stopped. $10 million. She checked the ticket 10 times, hands shaking, before collapsing into a chair, laughing and crying at once. The kids rushed in, thinking she'd lost her mind. But when she told them, Lily hugged her so tight it hurt, and Max danced around the kitchen, shouting about buying a spaceship. Clara didn't let the money change her. She paid off the mortgage, set up college funds for the kids, and donated to the hospital where she still worked part-time. She bought a modest car, nothing flashy, and took the kids on their first real vacation, a road trip to the Grand Canyon, where they laughed until their sides ached. Havenport whispered about her win, but Clara's quiet grace silenced any jealousy. She was their hero, proof that goodness could triumph. Tom heard about the win through the grapevine. At first, he laughed it off, but envy gnawed at him. Vanessa, smelling opportunity, pushed him to reconnect with the kids, hoping to worm their way into Clara's fortune. Tom showed up at Clara's doorstep, unshaven and hollow-eyed, begging to see Lily and Max. Clara let him in, not out of weakness, but because she believed the kids deserved a chance to know their father. The reunion was tense. Lily stared him down, her voice sharp. "You left us. Why should we trust you now?" Max, older now, just shrugged, his indifference cutting deeper than words. Tom left with nothing but a promise to try again. Vanessa wasn't pleased. She'd expected a payday, not a rejection. Her temper flared, and arguments with Tom grew vicious. She started staying out late, her phone buzzing with messages she didn't explain. Tom suspected she was cheating, but the irony was too bitter to confront. Their marriage unraveled, thread by thread, as Vanessa's spending drained their accounts. One night, she left for good, taking what was left of their savings and leaving a note. "You're not enough." Tom was alone, back in a rented apartment that smelled of mildew, working overtime to pay off debts Vanessa had racked up. He saw Clara's face on a local news segment, smiling as she cut the ribbon for a new community center she'd funded. The contrast burned. He'd traded a woman who loved him for a mirage, and now he had nothing. Clara, meanwhile, found love again not in a man, but in herself. She took painting classes, something she'd always dreamed of, and her landscapes filled the house with color. Lily got into a top high school, her confidence blooming. Max discovered a knack for coding, building apps that made Clara's head spin. They were a family, whole and unbroken, not because of the money, but because of Clara's unyielding heart. One evening, as Clara sat on her porch, now adorned with fairy lights, a familiar figure approached. Tom, older, grayer, stood at the edge of her yard, hands in his pockets. "I messed up, Clara," he said, voice cracking. "I don't expect forgiveness. I needed to say it." Clara looked at him, not with anger, but with pity. "You made your choice, Tom. I made mine." She didn't invite him in. He nodded, turned, and walked into the dusk. The next day, Clara took the kids to the beach, their laughter echoing over the waves. Karma hadn't just punished Tom, it had lifted Clara, not through wealth, but through the life she'd built from the ashes he left behind. What do you think was Tom's downfall, fair? Or does everyone deserve a second chance? Share your thoughts, Oren.